Welcome everyone to PrairieGirlRocks. I've got a little assortment of tools and odds and ends here because this month's jewelry challenge was White Winter Wonderland. And nothing looks more to me like snow with the sparkling Christmas lights reflecting off of it than an opal. And I have these pieces, we've cut these and made other pieces of jewelry out of them, but obviously there's still a great amount of color to be used here. So I'm gonna see about saving the tops of these pieces and turning them into some potentially very beautiful jewelry. And step one of that is going to be backing these two little stones. They're cut flat. Let's just go ahead and back them. And to do that, I have 3 pieces of this white material glued together. And of course it needs cleaned up and smoothed up and stuff too, but that's ready to be adhered to the back of these stones. So I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. Right, they are glued to that. So now I'm going to go take them to the trim saw and cut them off there. Separate them. Alrighty, moving right along. It's a rough trim, obviously, but we got it closer than it was, and now we'll take it to the flat lap and clean everything up. Clean up all that permanent marker that's on there, the dog hair that's stuck to it, or whatever that is. So, yep, we'll get them all cleaned up and we'll make something pretty out of them. I'll start with this 180 grit on my high-tech flat lap, my 6-inch high-tech flat lap, and just roughly shape, get all the extra stuff off of these that didn't come off in the trim saw. You can get close with the trim saw, but you can't get right up to, it cuts a straight line. So now this is the coarsest grinding that I would attempt to do on these opals. And I'm just going to give them a rough shape, get all the sharp edges off of them. I'll move along after this wheel to the 220 grit, and that's where I'll do most of my shaping with these softer opals. If this were a Montana agate or a petwood or anything really hard, I would suggest doing most of your shaping on this 180 grit. But because they're opals and because they're a little bit softer, I'm going to do most of my actual shaping on the 220 grit, which will follow this 180 disc. So this is really the fastest moving, most entertaining part of this. After this, it really just gets tedious and repetitive. If I stick to the grind from start to finish, these should only take an hour or maybe 2. If I stick to the grind and everything goes as planned. Unfortunately, everything does not always go as planned. So there was some crazing all the way down at the very end of these, and so it took about 6 hours to do these 2 pieces. That's right, 6 hours to do these 2 pieces. I had gotten all the way down to the 1200 grit, way up there to polishing, and both of these pieces crazed on the same wheel. And I had to take them back and rework them. And so it took double as long as it should have, if not a little longer, because I was super hesitant to go back and redo. I really like the green flash across this, and I didn't want to lose that green flash. So I really hesitated to go back and polish the whole thing, and instead I tried to just buff out the crazing, and it wound up taking me longer than it should have. If I would have just went back and shot for that next color bar down, I could have finished this in a lot shorter time than I actually did, but I was so adamant about keeping that green flat bar across the top, that green color flash across the top, that I dallied, moseyed, and did things the hard way, the wrong way, all of it. but I learned a lot, and I did get 2 completed pieces out of it. I'll be honest with you guys some more. I have no idea what I'm going to do with these for the jewelry challenge. As I'm grinding and shaping these pieces, I have Christmas list on my mind. And my mother-in-law and my mother are both on my Christmas list, and they both, I think, would appreciate a piece that incorporates something, not just, rock. My mom loves opals for starters, so an opal piece to my mom is a given. But my son brought home some fish ear bones that he collected when he was fishing up in Alaska this summer. And so I'd like to incorporate the fish ear bones into some very personalized jewelry for my mom and my kid's grandma, my ex-mother-in-law. So I've got 2 opals here that I finished that are possible candidates for a piece of jewelry, and I'll just kind of play with some wire options and a couple of these little fish bones and see how I like laying them out, how I like the shape, or like I say, I'm playing this by ear, by ear to make a piece of jewelry. I don't have an official plan. This was very challenging for me, actually, to make a drop pendant and to think about how the wire was going to lay across the stone and how I was going to get a finished product. Actually really challenged me. I did several drawings. I stopped and pondered. So this was a piece that definitely stretched me and made me think and made me be creative. But in the end, I'm actually really pleased with the way that it turned out. Pretty rocks are everywhere, pretty rocks for us to look at. Pretty rocks are everywhere. Thank you guys so much for watching, and in a world where you can choose to be anything, choose to be kind of a rock hound.